Hey guys, I'm Dov, and today I'm back with more Total War Warhammer 2 online action. Today we're back with the Empire, of course, going to be taking on the Dwarves, another viewer-submitted replay. So let's go ahead and get to it. We've got the steam tank here, a couple units of Reiksguard, a line of spearmen with shields. We've got some chevrons on them as well, up to 48 melee defense and 50 in some cases. Great swords, we've got some swordsmen and an archlector in the front line. For the dwarves, lots of dwarf warriors with great weapons, 2 cannons, a flame cannon over here. Grombrindle, the white dwarf, leading the way, so good old angry Santa going to be distributing presents amongst the Empire. We've also got the Grumbling Guard, a couple units of Quarrelers, Giant Slayers hidden in the woods, and the Dragonback Slayers protecting these 2 cannons here. So right off the bat, you can see the Dawi cannon's going to be opening fire on the front line of the Empire. While I definitely understand what he's trying to do here, I definitely think that the steam tank, rather, is going to be a much better target. The steam tank looks like it was targeting here, got a decent shot on those Slayers, now targeting the Dwarf Warriors with great weapons in the front line. These guys will definitely be able to beat, of course I say that, Dwarf Warriors with great weapons actually don't have the best combat stats in the world, which is why I much prefer to bring the shielded variant. I mean, yes, the AP is nice if you are expecting to face great swords, but these guys will pretty much lose to great swords anyway, so you're really not getting that much benefit by bringing the armor-piercing variant. That just goes for most great weapon infantry in general. We'll kind of talk about that a little bit more through the late game here. But Dragonback Slayers trying to get on those Reiksguard. They're going to go ahead and pull away there. You can see all across the front line the forces are engaging. The silver bullets have now been revealed. Flame Cannon has been opening up shots and got a few good hits on those Reiksguard, but nothing too major. Reiksguard going to use the woods to kind of block some of the shots here. Of course, I say that. It didn't actually block any shots, but yeah, they're going to go ahead and just stay nice and wide there. Meanwhile, in the front line, the Archlector buffing up these swordsmen have just munched through the Dwarf Warriors here, especially with the missile support of the steam tank. The silver bullets also now just about on station to start firing in here as well. So these few Dawi units who kind of have the flank here definitely need to start pushing up and around, but you can see Empire starting to bring up their reserves here. He was able to catch out the Dragonback Slayers, kind of bait them away with the Reiksguard. Then the Reiksguard pulled up and around here. You can see them kind of force pathing through, and it does look like they've got back onto the Quarrelers here, so definitely a favorable situation for the Empire at the moment. Still going to be very close, and this other unit of Quarrelers able to fire in a little bit of Overwatch there and take down a couple unit models. Meanwhile, the Giant Slayers detaching from the Flame Cannon. The Flame Cannon is going to path its way up and around, take a position, you know, kind of behind this cliff here. Very good use of terrain by the Dawi player here to kind of stop up the Empire advance. But the silver bullets, I mean, obviously they have magic damage, so they're not going to be the best here, but the stock means that they can get into position, hopefully without taking too much damage from enemy artillery. But yeah, they're going to be pouring withering fire onto this unit of Dwarf Warriors here. Meanwhile, more Empire infantry piling in here. The Dwarfs are honestly not faring as well as you would expect in that frontline engagement, especially with the Jade Wizard healing. Obviously, that's going to help these Empire troops be a lot more sustainable. Meanwhile, Great Swords have easily cleaned up a unit of Dwarf Warriors and now going to be pushing down to help support this low ground. The Reiksguard have continued to cycle charge very effectively. He's been doing a good job of pulling in and out with them. Meanwhile, again, these Dragonback Slayers is getting dragged down by overwhelming models. The one Great Cannon is interrupted by State Troop Spearmen, and this Flame Cannon's online, but you can see the Reiksguard are going to get over here and shut it down. Very unfortunate for the dwarf player. You can see Uncle GROMBI trying to run over to distribute some presents here, and a point-blank shot actually does a bit of damage there. But at the end of the day, the detachment of those Giant Slayers to come fight in the front line, you can see these Giant Slayers are now fighting against the Great Swords, which is not the best, and holy cow, Giant Slayers are massive. These guys are like bigger than humans. Maybe they ought to look at decreasing the size of them just a little bit. They seem a bit ridiculous, but yeah, Great Swords are going to trade very well there. Giant Slayers do have heavy weapon strength, but only 30 melee defense means the Great Swords with their bonus versus infantry will be able to make solid contact there. Meanwhile, this other Dawi cannon is still online. I didn't catch it, but they eventually did focus fire and take down that steam tank. So Dawi cannons, of course, great anti-tank guns, for those of you who don't know. But this one now going to get shut down by the Reichsguard. Unfortunately, not fast enough to save the steam tank, but nonetheless, I think it still probably got some good kills done. Looks like a regrowth going down on those greatswords, refreshing their vigor, so you can see they go back up to fresh. That's going to make a huge difference in this late game. Vigor, really one of the most underrated attributes and aspects of the game. Having fresh vigor means you're going to be trading much more effectively than these Giant Slayers who are currently winded. You can see a lot of other units here, like the Sigmar Sons, for example, exhausted. So definitely nice to have that vigor refresh on regrowth, even if it did lose its physical resistance, which, you know, is really only a huge nerf for like 2 units in the game, and they're both on Bretonnia's roster, so the Empire doesn't really care too much. GROMBI in here, again, trying to carve up the Reichsguard. The smoke bomb that he has, and just in general, GROMBI's a great combat character, but being a dwarf, infantry-only character, he can really only do so much, and I don't know, did he even bring the smoke bomb? It does look like he has the smoke bomb. I don't know if he has used it on those Reichsguard at all, but the Reichsguard nonetheless have been able to clean up all the missile units for the dwarves. The balance of power has turned very heavily in favor of the Empire at this point, so well played to the Empire player and the dwarf player as well. Definitely a very fun battle. We'll kind of soak up some cinematics of the Grumbling Guard making their final stand here. A few dwarf warriors piling in as well. But yeah, this is going to turn pretty overwhelming for these Grumbling Guard here pretty soon. The Giant Slayers also trying to hold out, looks like. Nope, they're pretty much cleaned up at this point. So yeah, old Uncle GROMBI chasing away some spearmen here. And it looks like the Silver Bullets are going to get a bead on him. He's kind of charging forward, trying to shut them down. But poor Uncle GROMBI in the rain here. Oh yeah, I definitely think that this matchup rather is in the dwarves' favor. That being said, I don't think that the dwarf player necessarily brought the best build here. He definitely had some good aspects to it, but there are definitely some things that I would change. Obviously, the flame cannon, bit of a meme pick, more of a fun pick than anything else, but definitely not going to be super competitive. Likewise, the Dwarf Warriors with great weapons are a bit of an odd pick as well. I would definitely say just bringing the regular Dwarf Warriors. They're cheaper, they have better melee defense, they have shields to help mitigate missile fire. Just in general, they're going to be a better unit all around in this engagement because, you know, if you're facing great swords, like I said, Dwarf Warriors with great weapons will lose anyway. Pretty much against state troops and other Empire infantry, your Dwarf Warriors with shields are going to do just fine. You know, so there's really not that much advantage in bringing the Dwarf Warriors specifically with great weapons. In terms of the army breakdown here, you can see both units of Reichsguard doing very well, 105 and 40 kills respectively, 61 kills on the steam tank at the end of the day, and although it was destroyed by the Dawi Great Cannons, who did manage to rack up XP chevrons as a result, because it was distracting the fire of the Dawi Cannons, they weren't shooting at the Reichsguard, which then allowed them to get in and get some good work done. 127 kills on the Great Swords as well, 50 kills on Spearmen with shields against the Dwarves, not too bad at all, 39 on the Silver Bullets. For the Dwarfs, like I said, the Cannons, definitely a bright spot here. Grumbling Guard, not too bad, and the Dragonback Slayers did okay, but you really don't want them fighting Empire State troops in the front line. But back to the Dwarf build here. If we go ahead and have a look, I am working on an overview of the Dwarves. Should have that out within the next week or so. But in general, GROMBI's not too terrible here. I'm not the biggest fan, but the Flash Bomb, Foe Seeker will definitely take. I don't know that I would take the Rune Axe of Grombrindle or the Rune Helm of Zufbar, just because they don't really synergize with that much too well. I'm going to grab a Runesmith, though, with just Rune of Wrath and Ruin to help slow down enemy heavy cavalry. The Dragonback Slayers and the Giant Slayers, I definitely like that pick, as well as the 2 cannons. Agree there. And Coralers are also a pretty solid option here. And then, yeah, instead of the Dwarf Warriors with great weapons, we're going to take Dwarf Warriors with shields, and we're also going to tank up on some miners with blasting charges. Going to be very good at helping to clear out those light state troops. You know, with their blasting charges, they can do a ton of damage to those light armor units, so something like that. And then if we actually lower these guys down, we can take 4 Rangers rather than Coralers. Obviously, they're not quite as survivable, but it does allow you to bring a lot more volume of fire. They do still have shields. They can trade well against Empire skirmishers and do okay shooting at heavy cavalry. Obviously, again, not as good as Coralers in melee because of the lack of armor. They also have slightly less melee defense, But they do have Vanguard, they have Stalk as well, so, you know, you can kind of stay hidden a little bit there. So something like this I think would be pretty solid. Most Dawi builds I've seen in this patch tend to go extremely wide like this, especially against the Empire. You know, you definitely want to try and bring as many numbers as you can. But those of you who are Dawi mains, let me know what you think in the comments down below. Hope you guys enjoyed watching. If you do like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button, so every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.